In this video, I'm going to provide an overview of the ByoWave Proteus Controller. The ByoWave Proteus Controller is a modular kit that allows you to build your own controller and create a custom shape of the controller in whatever configuration or orientation of the buttons and joysticks that you would like to meet your individual needs. This controller is good for gamers who can access the joysticks and buttons on a standard controller, but might benefit from a different shape of the controller or different orientation of the buttons or joysticks. It's also an option for one-handed gamers, as there are one-handed configurations using this controller. In this video, I'm going to show how to connect and set up a controller using the ByoWave Proteus, how to program it, and also how to set it up on the console. The ByoWave Proteus Controller Kit contains all the buttons and joysticks you need in order to build your own controller. It contains different plates that have the buttons and joysticks needed to play, and additional parts to create a custom controller shape. It has the left and right bumpers and left and right triggers, the D-pad, the Y, B, A, and X buttons, an additional joystick that is lighter touch, the Xbox and other associated buttons, 2 additional larger buttons that can be programmed to any button on a standard controller, the left and right joysticks, and then the other devices that are in different shapes to create a custom controller orientation and shape. The power cubes here supply power to the device, and when you program them in the Proteus Controller app, they save all of your controller mappings on them as well. So you need at least one power cube in order to set up your device. There's also a charging base, and this has a USB cord in it for charging the power cubes. And this device also links the power cubes to the computer when programming it using the Proteus Controller app, which we'll show later in this video. So using these devices, you can link them together, and you can create a custom controller shape. When assembling the controller, you want to start with one of the power cubes, because this will provide power to your device and be the brains of your controller. So you want to connect all of your devices starting with the power cube. Let's say I want to connect a joystick. I simply connect each end together, slide it into place, and then pull the white lever to lock it. And now my joystick is locked to my power cube. If I want to put one of the plates on that has buttons, I simply slide it into place and then twist it to lock it in. If I want to add other components, I simply just put them in and then can lock them into place. And now I can do this with every single button and joystick that I need to create a customized setup for my controller. You can go on the ByoWave Proteus website, and they have different ideas that other gamers have used and have found success with when building a modular controller for themselves. In the next part of the video, we're going to show how to use the ByoWave Proteus app to connect the ByoWave Proteus controllers to the computer and create a customized configuration with button mappings on the ByoWave Proteus app. Please note, you don't have to connect it to the ByoWave Proteus app to use the device, and you can just use it with the default programming that these buttons have, and the ByoWave Proteus app can be used just to map the buttons if you wish to do so. Using my ByoWave Proteus kit, I've created a one-handed controller that allows me to play with one hand. Now I'm going to show how to set up the one-handed controller that I made with the ByoWave Proteus app and go through remapping buttons if I wish to do so, and adjust joystick settings and other settings on my ByoWave Proteus controller. First, you'll have to go into the ByoWave Proteus app, which I'll show next. The ByoWave Proteus app can be found on the ByoWave website. Go to the ByoWave website, then click on Community App. When you do this, you'll be prompted to set up an account with ByoWave, which you'll have to do first before accessing the app. Once you're in the app, go up to Proteus Controller app. And this is where you can connect your ByoWave Proteus controller. I'll show next how to connect your ByoWave Proteus controller to the computer. Once your ByoWave Proteus app is set up and ready for your controller to pair, you simply need to connect the power stand to your ByoWave Proteus controller in order to supply a connection via a USB to your computer. Simply just connect the power source to the ByoWave Proteus controller, lock it into place, then take the USB cord that came with your ByoWave Proteus controller and plug it in to your power base. Once it's plugged in, you need to press the power button that's present on your power cube. It's a small triangle button and it's present on the power cube of your ByoWave Proteus controller. Press the button and your ByoWave Proteus controller should turn on. And it should begin to go white when your ByoWave Proteus controller connects. The power port can be connected to any part of your ByoWave Proteus controller, and it'll allow your ByoWave Proteus to pair with your computer. Once your ByoWave Proteus controller is connected to your computer, your configuration should show up in the app so you can see all of your buttons and joysticks set up the way that you physically set up your controller. To change the different button mappings and other settings on your ByoWave Proteus controller, you can click on the sidebar over here and access the buttons. Let's say I want to remap one of the side buttons on my controller. I can grab my controller and then click on the button I want to remap. By default, this button's mapped to A, but if I wanted to remap it to the Y button, I can click on it and then click Update. And now it's remapped to the Y button on my controller. I can do this for any button by simply just pressing it, and it'll allow me to change the button mappings on my controller. I can also change the settings for my left and right bumpers and left and right triggers on my controller. And I can also change the joystick settings as well. I can swap my joysticks and edit the dead zone on my joystick as well. There's a lot of different settings for button mappings I can change in my ByoWave Proteus app to optimize it for my individual use. Once my device is programmed and updated, I can unplug my ByoWave Proteus and set it up with my console. Now I'm going to show how to connect the ByoWave Proteus controller to the Xbox console. The ByoWave Proteus is directly compatible with the Xbox or the PC for gaming. Take your wireless USB dongle that came with your Proteus controller and plug it in to the front of your Xbox console. Then turn your ByoWave Proteus controller on by pressing the small triangle power button that's present on the power cube of your ByoWave Proteus controller. Once it's powered on, you have to wait for the light to turn solid, and then your ByoWave Proteus controller should be connected to your Xbox console.